Now at 9, a rally against guns takes place in Kansas City this weekend following the Kansas City Chiefs Victory Parade shooting. Plus, Pittsburgh Public Library hosted Day of Board Games for all ages. And the Main Street Axe Company in Joplin introduces a brand new league for knife throwers.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
This is KOAM News at 9 on Fox 14. I'm Lee Snowy. In an emotional gathering in Kansas City, Missouri on Saturday as dozens of people joined together for a rally against guns. Some in the crowd held up signs to ban assault weapons. The protest happened just days after gunfire erupted at a celebration honoring the Super Bowl champion Chiefs. 43-year-old mother and disc jockey Lisa Lopez Galvin died. At least 23 other people were hurt during the shooting. During Saturday's rally, Kansas City Mayor Quentin Lucas told protesters he never expected a shooting would occur during the celebration or that people would have to run for their lives. He called for change and told demonstrators, quote, "It doesn't have to be this way." Police have charged 2 juveniles in connection with the shooting and say there could be more arrests. The brother and sister of the woman fatally shot at the Kansas City Chiefs Victory Parade Wednesday remember their sister as vibrant and joyful. A man they have never met before honors their sister with a special gift. Andy Alcock talks to Lisa Lopez Galvin's family about her life and legacy.
There are about 10 homes here on this block in West Kansas City belonging to the Lopez family. It's a short walk to Union Station where Lisa, her husband Mike, her 22-year-old son Mark, and her 18-year-old daughter Adriana came with other family members to celebrate. Her brother Beto was at another rally location.
I never heard the shots, but we heard sirens.
In addition to Lisa's fatal injury, her son Mark was shot, but he's recovering. So are her cousin's 2 young daughters, who had a special visit from Patrick and Brittany Mahomes Thursday.
Our family's so appreciative and respect the Mahomes family, Patrick and his wife, trying to touch our family.
Beto Lopez and Carmen Lopez Murguia described their sister Lisa as vibrant, the life of the party, joyful, giving, the fun aunt. Now 2 juveniles face charges for the mass shooting.
They need to dig deep in their hearts and hold themselves accountable. They can do it.
God, what can I do to help this family?
Ron Moore, a man from Youngstown, Ohio, never met Lisa, but he's sending this sketch he completed today of her to Lisa's family. If you look closely, there are little hearts in Lisa's eyes.
We don't have to know a person or have ever met them to love them.
Wow. Beautiful.
Just seeing it here firsthand, it's beyond touching.
Lisa's 22-year-old son was also shot and is recovering from his injury. Meteorologist Lindsay Gaffney joins us for a first look at weather.
So temperatures have warmed up a bit today. Yesterday the high was in the lower 30s. Right now, high today was in the lower 50s. So we had almost a 20-degree increase in those temperatures. Currently outside, it's looking to be in the upper 30s as we cool off for the overnight low. And it's clear, we have a clear night ahead of us with some clouds rolling in tomorrow. However, at the surface, it is pretty dry, so we are not going to see any rain, just some clouds as we roll through. Then we're going to take a look ahead and possibly see some rain and maybe thunderstorms on Thursday, rolling in a little bit after midnight across the central counties. And I'll bring you more details in just a bit.
This afternoon, a fire alarm caused the Olive Garden in Joplin to evacuate. Joplin Fire say the fire began outside in the landscaping mulch, then traveled inside. The fire was quickly put out, but the restaurant was closed for a few hours for inspection by the health department and to patch the wall outside of the building. The Olive Garden reopened business as usual by dinner time. Springfield set a new record for the number of firearms found at airport security checkpoints. So last week, the TSA held a tutorial. Joe Hickman has what you should know if you want to bring a guns on your next flight.
You know the TSA. They're the ones that look through your stuff, make you take off your shoes and belts, and scan your body just so you can ride on a plane. But as intrusive as they are,
we have no issue with passengers taking firearms with them when they travel, as long as they are packaged safely and they are declared and left with the airline to be placed underneath the aircraft.
After a statewide record of 215 firearms detected 2 years ago, The number was down slightly to 212 in 2023, but Springfield's numbers were up last year to a record 23.
So far this year, we're already up to 4, and that includes one that was detected at security checkpoint around 5:25 this morning. We had a loaded Glock in a passenger's carry-on. In almost every instance, the excuse we get from passengers is, oops, I forgot it was in my bag.
So the first thing to remember is,
you can never bring a firearm as a carry-on if you are planning to travel. If you bring it to the security checkpoint, you're going to be subject to a civil penalty of up to $14,950. Local law enforcement is going to get involved. And if you're a member of our TSA PreCheck program, you are going to lose your status in that program for a period of up to 5 years.
and as the signs at the airline ticketing area point out, firearms must be checked-in baggage, and you must declare it to your airline when you check in. The guns must also be unloaded and locked in a hard-sided container.
And that it has some kind of padding on the inside to hold the items still. Most important thing you need to do is when you get your firearm, remove any magazine, and you're going to make sure no rounds are chambered. So make sure it's completely empty, and you're going to place that empty firearm on the inside of the case. If you plan to take ammunition, you could do that as well. Again, as long as it's stored separate from the firearms that you're carrying. If you shake your magazine and the rounds fall out, you're probably going to want to find another way to secure that ammunition.
The airline will supply you with a declaration card to put inside your locked box to complete the extensive protocol that hopefully verifies that you've done everything right.
I have flown out of several airports with firearms, following the regulations and the rules of locking them up, and have run into a few problems doing even everything right. So I chose personally not to fly with firearms anymore because it can make you late for your airplane.
And if you think the lines are long at the checkpoints normally,
if we have a firearm during a busy part of the morning, we're losing 25 to 33% of our operational capability until that firearm is removed. And that can cause the lines to grow, especially if we're in a busy part of the day.
The Main Street Axe Company in Joplin invited locals to bring a teammate and sharpen their knife throwing skills today at their first ever Knife Duels Throwing League. For $65, those in attendance could enjoy lunch and some prizes. Before the Axe Company's edition of Knife Duels, they only offered axe duels.
It's fun. If anybody's actually played duels with axes, you know, it's a very fun game itself, minus the rest of the other disciplines. So we thought with knives, it's something new.
Today's matches began at noon. One Pittsburgh group is hoping to bring the community together through games. SideQuest is a local group that hopes to promote comics and games in a family-friendly environment. Today, they hosted a free game day at the Pittsburgh Public Library. Attendees were invited to come together to play a variety of board or card games while meeting new people.
People should play board games because it is a great way to socialize, it's a great way to meet people, and it's a great way to play a game that you've never played before.
There were more than a dozen different games available to play. Organizers say they hope to continue holding similar events with even more participation. A local store is inviting kids to get a little more creative. Olson's Ace Hardware in Parsons is hosting a kids hour for the public. Each month has a different theme that helps teach kids a different skill. Today's participants were invited to come and create a Valentine's monster craft. Organizers say it's a great way to help support kids.
Because you never know what they're going to be. I want them, when they're grown up, to say, I remember coming to Olson's Ace Hardware doing arts and crafts.
The next Kids Hour will be hosted in March. Organizers say kids can plan to learn about plants and gardening. Coming up, 2 Freeman doctors and their patient share about a life-saving heart procedure for Heart Health Month. The ongoing coverage of Heart Health Month, 2 Freeman cardiologists, Doctors Vigyan Bang and Dr. Ryan Longnecker, and a Freeman patient, Dolores Field, gathered in the Heart's Library on Friday to share the story of Dolores' unique procedure. Dolores underwent a valve-in-valve transcatheter mitral valve replacement, the first time the procedure has ever been done in Joplin.
He's my lifesaver.
Oh.
He gave me my life back, my quality of life back.
I'm grateful for the partnership I have with Dr. Longnecker so that I can trust my patients in his hands and vice versa so that we can take best care of our community.
Dr. Bang says there's a small number of hospitals in the U.S. who offer this specific procedure, and Freeman Health is now one of them. A troubling update from the CDC on patients who have had COVID-19. A new study finding COVID-19 patients are at least 4 times more likely to develop chronic fatigue than those who have not been infected. Researchers followed more than 4,000 adults for nearly a year after their COVID-19 infections and compared their results to a separate pool of adults who did not have a COVID infection. They found 9% of COVID patients developed fatigue after infection, and that such patients were more than 4 times likely to develop chronic fatigue. Women and older adults were also more susceptible. The CDC recently estimated more than 3 million adults suffered from a fatigue diagnosis between 2021 and 2022. A new federal report shows that the effects of COVID-19 are lasting longer in certain states across the country. In a new Morbidity and Mortality Weekly report, the CDC says that residents in certain states are suffering from lingering COVID-19 effects more than those in other states. The state with the highest reporting of long COVID was in West Virginia, with other states like Alabama, Montana, and Oklahoma trailing not far behind. Dr. Mark Siegel says vaccine uptake, obesity, and other underlying conditions can influence longer COVID effects. In long COVID, symptoms of the virus can persist for 3 months or longer. Lindsay is next with a complete look at the forecast. And later, the PSU win in
So today was warmer than what we saw Friday and Saturday, with the high being 51 degrees. And it was a very sunny day. It's still clear outside. We see some clouds moving in tomorrow, but taking a look outside at our Cornell Complex camera downtown Joplin, it is shaping up to be a really beautiful night. Temperatures are cooling off back down to the upper 30s, and as we move into tomorrow, we see no rain or snow in the forecast. These clouds will move into our area, but due to some dry air at the surface, we don't see any rain from that. And then we're also going to take a look at this 36-hour trend that we saw the last few days. You can see these temperatures spiked from 17 degrees as the low at 8 a.m. on Saturday, all the way up to 51 degrees as our high for today. So temperatures have increased a lot, and they're going to continue to do so as we move into tomorrow. The high is going to be 51, possibly getting up to 60 degrees since we're seeing sunny skies most of the day, with those clouds rolling through around noon. And then we're going to continue on and take a look. These clouds roll by, and as they do make their way out of the area, we're going to see another few days of sunny skies due to this ridge forming over our area, and it's going to stick around until Wednesday evening. The clouds roll in early Wednesday morning, and then Wednesday evening into Thursday, we're going to see some rain in our area. And that rain could potentially come with some thunderstorms due to that ridge pulling air from the Gulf, creating some instability at the surface and a lot of moisture. So not only showers, but there could be some embedded thunderstorms with some of these heavier areas of rain. Now, this system is tracking a little bit more north than what we saw the last few days, and it could continue to do so, and we're going to keep an eye on that. But right now, it's going through central and northern counties, making its way out of the area early afternoon, 1 p.m. still in the eastern counties. By late afternoon, it should have been completely cleared out, and we're going to see those sunny skies again. It's bringing a bit of a cold front, dropping just the overnight lows down to the 30s, with the highs still sticking around in the 60s. So it's not a heavy cold front. We're just getting the tail end of that. That's why we're only getting a few showers moving into Thursday morning. And then Monday back up to 73 degrees and some more showers on Tuesday. So we've got a couple of days ahead of us with some rain chances, but for the most part, it is looking up to be a pretty sunny few days ahead of us.
Well, I certainly like the sound of that.
Me too.
All right, thanks, Lindsay. Well, student musicians at Pittsburgh State today performed outside their wind ensemble at the Bicknell Family Center for the Arts. The concert outside is compiled of different pieces rooted outside of the classical tradition and incorporates hip-hop, jazz, and folk music. The performance was free to the public and began at 3 this afternoon. Coming up, the clock continues to tick for Congress.
Ukraine facing a major setback in its war against Russia as the clock is ticking to see if Congress will deliver a new aid package. I'm Lucas Tomlinson. I'll have the details coming.
Americans dropped out of moving around in 2023, and it's because the price wasn't right. A new study from the online moving services marketplace Hire a Helper reveals only 7.8% of the population packed up their troubles in their old kit bag and went elsewhere. That's a 9% drop from 2022 and the lowest percentage of relocations on record. Hire a Helper says mortgage rates spiking to 7% by 2023 and some remote work rules still in place were big factors. But 25.6 million people did move, with Oklahoma the biggest net gain winner at 40%. Wholesale inflation increased last month more than expected. The producer price index rose 0.3% last month from December. Annually, the price remains up 0.9%. The newly released figures are higher than predicted by Refinitiv economists. The Labor Department stated the consumer price index also jumped by 0.3% in that same time frame and over 3 points from last year. Both measuring rates are running above the desired target. Retail sales tumbled last month and toy makers were hit especially hard. Fox Business Network's Lauren Simonetti is at a toy store in New Jersey to find out what's behind the drop.
Shoppers cut back on spending last year. Retail sales fell much more than expected. Toy makers and retailers are concerned. Mattel, which has Barbie, forecasts flat sales for this year. Hasbro says 2024 sales could fall as much as 12%. That's on top of declines last year. Retail sales for toys were down 8% in 2023. Only 2 categories rose. Those categories were plush, like Squishmallows, they're perpetually popular, and also building sets, they were up 12%. Legos are always popular. In fact, Legos like these go for over $800. But consumers and retailers are complaining there's no gotta-have hot toy, and foot traffic is slow.
All of last year, it was down a good percent. Instead of every week, maybe it's every other week, every 3 weeks.
So this retailer throws toy parties. Before the pandemic, a couple dozen would show up and play. Now, between 2 and 5. In Westwood, New Jersey, Lauren Simonetti, Fox News.
Up next, reasons why you should make sure to have your car's battery consistently. Today marks National Battery Day, and Advanced Auto Parts is giving away free car batteries to some lucky customers. One survey says that 91% of motorists have had a dead battery, but 2/3 don't think about checking it until it's too late. To encourage consistent automobile safety check-ins, participating Advanced Auto stores will check your car battery for free. But that's not all. The company will also randomly select customers to get a free die-hard battery after coming in for maintenance. 30 more minutes of news, weather, and sports coming your way. Former President Donald Trump responds to a New York judge ordering him to pay hundreds of forces getting pushed back from their positions in the East as they urge the U.S. and other allies for more assistance in their fight against Russia's invasion. Fox News correspondent Lucas Tomlinson has the latest.
The Kremlin says it's in full control of the town of Avdiivka in eastern Ukraine. Outnumbered Ukrainian troops forced to withdraw after months of fierce fighting. It's Russia's biggest victory in 9 months and a major setback for Ukraine, one that some lawmakers say signals the urgency of another aid package for the embattled country.
They've just had their first defeat, the Ukrainians, since last May, partly as a result of the fact that they're outgunned 10-1 by the Russians. We can help solve that problem for them, and we should.
A bill that would provide another $60 billion in funding for Ukraine is currently in limbo. A bipartisan alternative has been introduced, which includes funding for the southern border. Those in favor of sending aid say the impact of deterring Russian aggression goes beyond Ukraine's borders.
Who stops Vladimir Putin if he marches right into Kyiv, marches right into Ukraine from going further? And this is an international crisis.
The bulk of the assistance are weapons to be used on the battlefield. Republican Senator J.D. Vance is one of the most vocal opponents of sending more aid to Ukraine, arguing that with no end to the war in sight, the U.S. is not making enough munitions to support the cause indefinitely.
Can we send the level of weaponry we've sent for the last 18 months for the next 18 months? We simply cannot.
The ability of Congress to send more weapons to Ukraine will have a lasting impact on the battlefield after Ukraine's counteroffensive failed. Traveling with the president in Rehoboth Beach, Delaware, Lucas Tomlinson, Fox News.
The United States is threatening to veto a new Gaza ceasefire resolution at the United Nations Security Council. U.S. Ambassador to the UN, Linda Thomas-Greenfield, issued a statement last night. It said the U.S. would not vote for an Algerian proposed resolution calling for humanitarian ceasefire. Thomas-Greenfield says the U.S. is working on a deal between Israel and Hamas. That deal would see the release of hostages and a pause of fire of at least 6 weeks. Former President Trump says he will appeal the ruling in his New York civil fraud trial. A judge on Friday ordered him to pay over $350 million for falsely inflating his net worth for years. Fox News correspondent C.B. Cotton has more.
This ruling is a significant shakeup for the Trump empire. Former President Donald Trump has been barred from leading any New York firm for 3 years. His sons, Don Jr. and Eric, have been barred for 2. Now, the judge's decision in this case comes a day after a judge set a date for what could be Mr. Trump's first criminal trial, now slated to begin on March 25th. Mr. Trump faces a combined total of 91 state and federal charges across 4 criminal cases. This courtroom calendar appears to only have bolstered Mr. Trump as the GOP frontrunner. As for the civil fraud trial, Judge Arthur Engoron wrote in his 92-page opinion, the former president and his sons engaged in a years-long financial scheme to deceive banks and lenders, and he said they showed no remorse in doing so. Engoron ruled Trump submitted false financial statements to banks to secure more favorable loan terms and said he didn't find Mr. Trump to be a credible witness. The judge writing, quote, overall, Donald Trump rarely responded to the questions asked, and he frequently interjected long, irrelevant speeches on issues far beyond the scope of the trial. His refusal to answer the questions directly or in some cases at all severely compromised his credibility. The former president slammed the ruling as a sham.
You build a great company. There was no fraud. The banks all got their money, 100%. They love Trump. They testified that Trump is great customer, one of our best customers. They testified beautifully.
Attorney General Letitia James called it a massive victory.
Donald Trump may have authored the art of the deal, but he perfected the art of the steal. This long-running fraud was intentional, egregious, illegal, and he did all of this with the help of the other defendants, his 2 adult sons and senior executives at the Trump Organization.
Trump and his attorney have vowed to appeal, which will likely take years in this case. From Trump Tower in New York, C.B. Cotton, Fox News.
Later, we'll take a look at how artificial intelligence is being used to remember victims of gun violence.
So temperatures out there today were a lot warmer than what they were on Friday and Saturday, and I am thankful for that. It is a clear night. Checking out our camera at Cornell Complex in downtown Joplin. Light breeze, but overall a pretty nice night. No clouds or rain or snow in sight. We do have some clouds rolling in, and they're right over here to the west of us, making their way in tomorrow by noon. Now it's dry at the surface, so we're not going to see any precipitation falling from those clouds, just a cloudy start to your Monday, and then it'll clear. We'll go back up to sunny days. Now, I want to take a look at the 36-hour trend and see how fast these temperatures have increased from 17 degrees at 8 a.m. on Saturday for our low, all the way up to 51 degrees for our high on Sunday. So it is a drastic change over the last few days, and it's going to continue to get warmer. Tomorrow, our high is going to be 59 degrees. By noon, it's 54. So we're already surpassing our high from today by tomorrow at noon. Now, the clouds are there, and then they'll start to clear out as we move into the afternoon hours. Here comes those clouds making their way in on Monday, and then as they pass, we're going to see another sunny day on Tuesday when this ridge starts to move into our area. Now, it's going to continue to roll by, and on Wednesday, the ridge has centered itself across central U.S. And we see the clouds come in, and that's from the system that we see moving in on Thursday. So Wednesday we may have a cloudy day, but it'll still be warm with our high being 73 degrees. And then the rain starts rolling. We're going to take a closer look at this. It starts to come in from the south. It's tracking a little bit north than what we've seen the last few days, and we're going to keep an eye on that. Going through our central counties now at midnight, so we may see it start to roll in a little bit earlier Wednesday evening around 11:30, and then it'll start to increase as we make our way through the morning hours. By 3:30, it's pretty heavy rain across those central counties, and along with these showers, we could see some potential thunderstorms forming. This is due to the instability from the moisture off the Gulf and the warm air off the Gulf, combined with this cold front that we have moving in, and we're just getting the tail end of it, so it's not severe. However, it could cause some instability, creating some thunderstorms along with this rain. Now, it's going to continue all morning as you're making your way to work and to school. We're going to see the rain showers pretty much all morning until clearing by late afternoon. That cold front's going to drop the low temperatures down to the 30s. However, the highs are still going to stay in the 60s, and then making our way into next week, 73 on Monday. So it's going to warm back up again.
It was certainly a gorgeous day today, I at least thought.
Oh yeah, and we've got a few more ahead, so I'm looking forward to that.
Absolutely. All right, thanks, Lindsay. Well, to be the first to see breaking news, weather, and sports, download the KOAM News app. It's available free of charge in the Apple App Store and the Google Play Store. Just search for the KOAM News app. Coming up in sports, post-game reaction following the big win for Missouri Southern men's basketball team. Plus, highlights from the Pitt State and Missouri Southern baseball games. We'll have that and more up next.
The Missouri Southern Lions are wrapping up their final weekend of non-conference games. The baseball team's 8-2 to begin the season, and they look to pick up a few more wins before MIAA conference play begins next week. Southern is at home on early Sunday morning. The game was postponed on Saturday, so they make it up with Lewis University on Sunday. So bottom of the second, 1-0 Lewis. Webb City's own Dragon Parker hits an RBI bloop single to center field. It's tied up 1-1. Later in the inning, Lions lead 2-1. Ethan Clark with the bases loaded. Didn't get all of it, but got just enough for a base hit. Southern leads at 3-1. Still in the second, Will Daugherty hits this one sharply to center. 2 runs are going to come in to score. The Lions now lead at 6-1. So bottom of the fourth now, Southern leads 7-2. Will Daugherty launches this to left field, bounces over the fence for a ground rule double. We have a dog after the baseball out there. Ethan Clark will come in to score there, and Missouri Southern goes on to win this game 13-6. So Missouri Southern softball also in action on Sunday. The Lions are wrapping up the Raising Cane's Festival tournament just outside of Oklahoma City. The Lions lose game 1 10-6, but Southern bounces back in game 2, winning 5-2. Southern's home opener is scheduled this Tuesday against Delta State. Well, the Pitt State Gorillas are home for one more weekend before they travel up to Washburn next weekend to open up conference play. On Sunday, the Gorillas host Southwest Baptist for a doubleheader. Pitt State at home taking on the Southwest Baptist Bearcats. Gorillas won game 1 of the series on Saturday, so we go over to Sunday to game 2. Bottom of the first, Austin Warkins drills this ball over the center fielder's head. 1 run comes in to score, and Warkins is in there for an RBI triple, 1-0 Pitt State. Bottom of the fourth now, Gorillas down 3-2. Jake Grauberger ties this game up with an RBI single. It's now 3-3. Next batter to the plate, Austin Warkins again lines this past the second baseman. 2 runs are going to come in to score. It's a 2-run double. Pitt State takes a 5-3 lead. Then in the bottom of the 5th inning, bases are loaded for Carson Coffey, and he wakes everyone up with an opposite field grand slam. Pitt State wins big in Game 1, 25-3, your final score. So in Game 2 of the doubleheader, Pitt State rolls on once again. The Gorillas win this 15-0, and they get this. Carson Coffey in both of his games today goes 7 for 8, hits 3 home runs and 12 RBIs. What a day for the junior outfielder from Bentonville, Arkansas. Well, the Missouri Southern Lions men's basketball team is coming off of a big win over their rivals Pitt State this past Saturday. The Lions are starting to get things turned around with just 2 more weeks remaining in the regular season. Missouri Southern really struggled out of the gate to begin the season. The Lions went 2-7 in their first 9 games. But since then, Missouri Southern has gone 10-5 in their last 15. The Lions are coming off a 3-point win over their rivals Pitt State. It's the 2nd straight season that Missouri Southern men's basketball has swept Pitt State in the regular season.
Gritty win, toughness win, and for our guys to stay the course. You know, we were up 7.5, and that game storming back to take the lead, for us not to get down and really not get too high, not get too low, and stay the course, and really get good buckets down the stretch, big buckets down the stretch, and keep timely stops. I'm just proud of our guys.
Hey, look, we coming in hot. You know what I'm saying? Look, we're gonna stay together, stay focused, stay in the gym, getting extra shots up. You know, make sure that we don't have a bad shooting night when we need to win. So we're gonna lock in, stay focused, and like I said, we coming in hot, so we're gonna be good.
That's your look for sport. We're back after this.
Artificial intelligence is restoring the voices of people lost to gun violence, and their new messages are being used to target politicians whose critics say oppose tougher gun laws. Fox News' Ted Lindner takes a look at the technology families of the victims hope will save lives.
Haunting but powerful. Artificial intelligence is recreating the many voices of those killed by gun violence in an effort to help prevent more lives from being taken.
Because our stories need to be heard, and who better to tell them than us?
Voices like that of Joaquin Oliver, who was one of the 17 people murdered 6 years ago at Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High School in Parkland, Florida.
Hello, I'm Joaquin Oliver. 6 years ago, I was a senior at Parkland. Many students and teachers were murdered on Valentine's Day that year by a person using an AR-15. But you don't care. You never did.
Joaquin's parents are now using the AI messages to robocall lawmakers nationwide, who they say support the National Rifle Association and oppose tougher gun laws.
The same stats and nothing changes.
They hope the new campaign will put more pressure on Congress to ban AR-15 style semi-automatic rifles like the one used to kill their son.
We have nothing to lose here, okay? I mean, we already lost everything.
But the Olivers aren't alone. Other families, including that of one of the 4 people killed at a Tennessee Waffle House in 2018, and that of one of the 21 people slain at Robb Elementary School in Uvalde, Texas, are also robocalling politicians with the AI voices of their loved ones.
It's been 6 years and you've done nothing. Not a thing to stop all the shootings that have continued to happen since.
Because the campaign is being run indefinitely through the Shotline website, even more families of gun violence victims will be able to add the recreated voices of their relatives going forward. Ted Lindner, Fox News.
Up next, we'll have the top 5 films for this weekend's box office. Sports, download the KOAM News app. It's available free of charge in the Apple App Store and the Google Play Store. Just search for the KOAM News app. 2 new movies gave the slumping box office some life. David Daniel has the early estimates for the top 5 films in theaters Friday through Sunday.
What wondrous love is this?
The second installment of Season 4 of The Chosen, episodes 4 through 6, debuted in 5th place with $3.4 million. The animated adventure Migration rose to 4th place on ticket sales of $3.8 million. Argyle fell to 3rd place, taking in $4.7 million. The superhero origin story Madam Web opened in 2nd place, grossing $15.2 million.
We're jamming. The thing that jamming was a thing of the past.
Bob Marley, One Love, a look at the reggae icon, was jammin' with $27.7 million, easily debuting #1. In Hollywood, I'm David Daniel.
That's our time for tonight. Thanks for joining us. We'll leave you with a video of a polar bear enjoying the snow at the St. Louis Zoo. From all of us here in the studio, have a great night.